questions for reflection. In our first reading, we find these words of warning from the Lord. The Lord saw that human wickedness was great on earth, and that human hearts contrived nothing but wicked schemes all day long. Yahweh regretted having made human beings on earth and was grieved at heart. If we look around today, what do we see? A culture that not only legalized the taking of the lives of innocent children in their mother's womb, but is now expanding this evil by proposing the legalization of infanticide. A rejection of the beauty of God's loving plan for marriage and the family and society founded upon it. A rejection of the gift of sexual difference, even though, quote, He created them male and female. A denial of the very existence of God. And as a consequence, we are losing our humanity and fashioning our own chains. As the Lord warned Cain, and I quote, sin is crouching at the door. Genesis 4:7. So today we hear the story of the flood and of the mercy of God in choosing Noah and his family to begin again. The Catholic Catechism explains, and I quote, the Church has seen in Noah's Ark a prefiguring of salvation by baptism, for by it a few, that is 8 persons, were saved through water. And that's paragraph 1218 of the Catechism. It then sets forth a passage from the prayer the priest, or in some cases the deacon, prays over the waters of the baptismal font. And here it is. The waters of the great flood, you made a sign of the waters of baptism, that make an end of sin and a new beginning of goodness. Every time we make the sign of the cross at the entrance of the church building using baptismal or holy water, we renew our own baptism and pledge again to live for God. Where is sin crouching at our door? Quote, give Yahweh his due, proclaims David the psalmist in the responsorial psalm appointed for today's Holy Mass. Adore him in the spirit of holiness. Do we begin our day by turning to the Lord and adoring him? The moment we open our eyes in the morning, which in itself is a gift from God, do we thank the Lord? Saint Jose Maria Escriva refers to this practice as the heroic minute. And I quote this wonderful saint, it is the time fixed for getting up, without hesitation, a supernatural reflection, and up, the heroic minute. Here you have a mortification that strengthens your will and does no harm to your body. And that's from The Way, paragraph 206. Choose to adopt this practice today and every day. It will change your life, honor God, and change you. Following upon his exasperating experience with the Pharisees, the passage from St. Mark for today's Mass presents us with Jesus being asked a question by his own disciples. He warns them to be careful of the leaven of the Pharisees. Leaven is the rising agent for bread. In other teachings, Jesus uses it in a positive way as an image to explain the spread of the kingdom of God. But on this occasion, he's speaking of the opposite, how unbelief and sin can also be a negative leaven, as was the case with the unbelief of the Pharisees, which the disciples had just witnessed. But even these men he had chosen, the ones to whom he had imparted the wisdom of heaven, did not get it. They thought he was talking about actual bread because they had forgotten to bring enough with them for their journey by sea. So Jesus recounts the miracle of the multiplication of the loaves. He hoped they had come to understand it was about more than bread. Jesus asked the disciples a simple question during that miracle. What do you have? They did not understand. They had been invited to participate in God's work by simply giving what they had in a holy exchange. When they finally did, Jesus used the matter given by men, loaves and fish, to manifest the manna of heaven. He still does. Do we believe this? Do we give what we have to the Lord every day?